Okay, tutorial number 6 aims to explain many issues related to the function of controlling. This presentation is designed as a method of quizzes and MCQs. I wish it will gain high level of merits and will support you to understand various aspects of the function of controlling. Question 1. Controlling function finds out how far dot from standards the function of controlling finds out how far from standards. So given 4 options. So controlling function finds out how far actual performance from standards, improvement from standards, corrective action from standards, or cost from standards. Let's first define what stands behind performance management. Performance management is a tool that helps managers monitor and evaluate employees' work. The goal of performance management is to create an environment where people can perform to the best of their abilities and in alignment with the organization's overall goals. Improvement, from other hand, is a change that a manager makes to better achieve objectives, while corrective action is a fundamental process that is used to address and resolve issues and problems that occur in workplace. Cost management concerns with the process of planning and controlling associated with the running business cost. So I think is suitable answer is actual performance. So the full statement will be: controlling functions find out how far actual performance from standard. The function of controlling likes a measurement to measure the actual performance against the planned one. So answer A is said to be the perfect answer. should be the perfect answer. Step 2. Measurement of performance. The step involves measuring the performance in respect of a work in terms of control standard. The presence of standards implies a corresponding ability to observe, comprehend the nature of existing condition and ascertain the degree of control being achieved. The measurement of performance against standards should be a future basis, so that the deviations may be detected in advance of the actual occurrence and avoided by appropriate action. Appraisal of actual or accepted performance become an easy task if standards are properly determined and methods of measuring performance, which can be expressed in physical and monetary terms, such as production units, sales volume, profit, etc., can be easily and precisely measurable. The performance, which is qualitative and intangible, such as human relations, employee morale, etc., cannot be measured precisely. For such purposes, techniques like psychological test and opinion surveys may be applied. Such techniques draw heavily upon initiatives, judgment, and experience, and these tools are far from exact. According to Drucker, it is very much desirable to have clean and common measurement in all key area of business. It is not necessary that the measurements are rigidly quantitative. In this opinion, for measuring tangible and intangible performance, measurement must be clear, simple, and rational. 2. Relevant. 3. Direct attention and efforts. 4. Reliable, self-announcing, and understandable, without complicated interpretation or philosophical discussion. Question 2. Which of the following is not a limitation of controlling? A. Little control on external factors, costly affairs, ensuring order and discipline, difficulty in setting quantitative standards. As other functions of management, the controlling function has merits and demerits, advantages and disadvantages, of course, and it has limitation. So what that means? That means a controlling function cannot be applied at any time and anywhere. There is some restrictions and constraints. Let's see what stands behind, for example, ensuring order and discipline. Ensuring order and discipline is an important aspect of controlling function in management. It involves establishing and enforcing rules, policies, and procedures to ensure that employees adhere to the organization's standards of conduct and behavior. One way to ensure order and discipline is to establish clear expectations and guidelines for employees. This can include setting expectations for work performance. So, this is said to be a limitation of controlling function. Is not a limitation of controlling function. That means little control on external factors. So the function of controlling can control the external factors. It can control the cost, and it can control difficulties in setting quantitative standards. So, ensuring order and discipline is not computed as a limitation of controlling. If the question is like, which of the following is a limitation of controlling, so we can choose A, B, and D in case. Three, planning is theoretical, whereas controlling is practical. True, false, nothing. It's true, of course. True. The nature of planning is to plan the objectives and the goals of organization, while controlling is to look after how the formulated objectives are attached to the plan. So controlling actually is the practical function, while planning is the theoretical function. Four, which of the following is not a process of controlling? Analyzing deviation, integrate employees' effort, taking corrective measures, setting performance standard. Before answering the question or selecting the perfect answer, let's describe the four options. Analyzing deviations, measures and compares the manager's actual performance with their planned one. Integrate employees' effort can be explained Control is ensuring that organizational action are carried out in accordance with the plan. Setting performance standards. It can be explained that setting goals and standards is the process that is done while planning, but also has a significant impact on controlling. Corrective action. A manager needs to act right away to make up for any difference between actual performance and goals. So let's see. The question is about what is of the following is not a process of controlling. As you see and remark, analyzing deviation, taking corrective measures, and setting performance standards are popularly known as a process of controlling, while the integration of employees' effort, it is a job and responsibility of organizing function. So to integrate employees' effort is not considered as the process of controlling. Correct. Analyzing deviation, taking corrective measures, and setting performance standard are known as the process of controlling. Okay. All organizations, business or non-business, face the necessity of coping with problems of control. Like other managerial functions, the need for control arises to maximize the use of scarce resources and to achieve purposeful behavior of organization members. In planning stage, managers decide how the resources would be utilized to achieve organizational objectives. At the controlling stage, managers try to visualize whether resources are utilized in the same way as planned. Thus, control completes the whole sequence of management process. Controlling, according to Terry, is determining what is being accomplished. That is evaluating the performance and, if necessary, applying corrective measures so that the performance takes place according to plan. Control is any process that guides activity towards some predetermined goals. Thus, control can be applied in any field such as price control, distribution control, pollution control, etc. So, control as control as an element of management process can be defined as the process of analyzing whether actions are being taken as planned and taking corrective actions to make these to conform to planning. So control process tries to find out the deviations between planned performance and actual performance, and to suggest corrective actions wherever these are needed. So, based on above mentioned definition, we will try to list in the following slide the main features of controlling as a basic function of management. Which of the following is a traditional technique of managerial control? A. We are talking about the managerial control. Please make stress on what do we mean by managerial control. Number one, personal observation. Personal observation, should it be one of the techniques of managerial control? Break-even analysis, it can be considered or not as a technique of managerial control. Budgetary control, should we compute it as a traditional technique of managerial control? All of the above mentioned. Let's see, what do we mean by break-even analysis? Break-even analysis compares the cost of new business, service, or product against the unit sale price. So the relation between the cost and price of a unit sold. It can be measured as or considered as the control. Personal observation is the oldest and most important controlling technique. Managers and superiors personally visit the workplace irregularly and observe the performance of employees. They check if the work is going as per plans or not. It seems correct. It can be considered a technique of managerial control. Let's see what about the budgetary control. Is the financial jargon for managing income and expenditure. So, to manage income and expenditure in order to keep income more than expenditure. In practices, it means regularly comparing actual income or expenditure to planned income and expenditure in order to identify whether or corrective action is required, at least to keep the balance between actual and planned income or expenditure. Once the organization is controlled by the behavior of profit maximization. So, if the question is like, mention the traditional technique of managerial control instead of which of the following is considered as a traditional technique. List or mention the traditional technique of managerial control. So you can answer easily: personal observation, break-even analysis, and budgetary control. Break down the abbreviation of PERT. PERT is an abbreviation of what? Performance Evaluation and Report Technique. Taking the first letter of each word. Performance, P. Evaluation, E. R stands for report in this option, and T stands for technique. Let's see option B. P stands for personal, E stands for inquiry, R stands for retrieving, T stands for technique. As option C, program evaluation and review technique. P for program, E for evaluation, R for review, T for technique. PET is known globally as an abbreviation of program evaluation and review technique. So the correct answer is C. PERT is a popular project management technique that is applicable when the time required to finish a project is not certain. It is an abbreviation of program evaluation and review technique. PERT is quite known as content of operations research or project scheduling. Remedial actions taken to prevent deviation in future is called measurement of actual performance, taking corrective actions, analyzing deviations, setting performance. The controlling function makes an attempt to remedy deviation by comparing actual performance to specific standards. In the end, the procedures aids in the creation of new plans. Consequently, controlling function aids in returning the management cycle to planning. Return of investment, ratio analysis, responsibility analysis, management audit, PERT and CBM are known as the modern controlling technique. Corrective action: manage the need to act right away to make up for any difference between actual performance and goals. So, the remedial action taken to prevent deviation from the planned or from the plans in the future is known as taking corrective action in the process of the application of plans. The process of the application of plans. So, taking corrective actions is the correct answer. The correct answer. Number 3, comparing actual and standard performance. The third major step in control process is the comparison of actual and standard performance. It involves 2 steps: finding out the extent of deviation and identifying the causes of such deviation. When adequate standards are developed and actual performance is measured correctly, any variation will be clearly revealed. Management may have information relating to our performance, data, charts, graphs, and written reports, besides personal observation to keep such performances compared with the standard. Want to find out whether the various segments and individuals of the organizations are progressing in the right direction. When the standards are achieved, no further managerial action is necessary and control process is completed. However, standards may not be achieved in all cases, and the extent of variation may differ from case to case. Naturally, management is required to determine whether strict compliance with standards is required or there could be a permissible limit of variation. In fact, there cannot be any uniform practice for determining such variation. Such variation depends upon the type of activity. For example, a very minute variation in engineering products may be significant than a wide variation in other activities. When the deviation between standard and actual performance is beyond the prescribed limit, an analysis is made of the causes of such deviation. For controlling and planning purposes, assessing the causes of variation along with the computation of variation is important because such analysis helps management in taking a proper control action. The analysis will pinpoint the causes which are controllable by the person responsible. In such a case, person concerned will take necessary corrective action. However, if the variation is caused by uncontrollable factors, the person concerned cannot be held responsible and he can take any action. Measurement of performance, analysis of deviation and their causes may be of no use unless these are communicated to the person who can take corrective action. Such communication is presented generally in the form of a report showing performance standard, actual standard, deviation between those two, tolerance limits and causes for deviation. As soon as possible, reports containing control information should be sent to the person whose performance is being measured and controlled. The underlying philosophy is that the person who is responsible for a job can have a better influence on final result by his own action. A summary of the control report should be given to superior concerned because the person on the job may easier need help of his superior in improving the performance or may need warning for his failure. In addition, other people who may be interested in the control are executives engaged in formulating new plans, staff personnel who are expected to be familiar with the control information for giving any advice about the activities under control when approached. This is the last step in the control process, known as the correction of deviations. This step requires that action should be taken to maintain the desired degree of control in the system of operation. An organization is not a self-regulating system such as thermostat which operates in a state of equilibrium put there by engineering design. In business organization, this type of automatic control cannot be established because the state of affairs that exists is the result of so many factors in the total environment. Thus, some additional actions are required to maintain the control. Such control action may be review of plans and goals and change therein on the basis of such review. 2. Change in the assignment of tasks. 3. Change in existing techniques of direction. 4. Change in organization structure, provision for new facilities, etc. In fact, correction of deviation is a step in management control process which may involve either all or some of the managerial function. Due to this, many persons hold the view that correcting deviation is not a step in the control process. It is a stage where other managerial functions are performed. Kuntz and Nell have emphasized that the overlap of control function with the others mainly demonstrates the unity of manager's job. It shows the managing process to be an integrated system. Assembling of facilities and personnel for collecting, processing information that is required by managers is called PERT, Program Evaluation and Review Technique, CBM, Critical Path Methods, Ratio Analysis, or Management Information Technique. Management Information Technique is the process of collecting and processing. So, ratio analysis is a mathematical technique for analyzing a company's financial document such as a balance sheet and income statement. PERT is a popular project management technique that is applicable when the time required to finish a project is not certain. It is an abbreviation of Program Evaluation and Review Technique. CBM is that technique of project management which is used to manage certain activities of any project. So, assembling of facilities and personnel for collecting, processing information that is required by managers is called Management Information Technique. So, the right question is number D. Right question is number D. PERT, CBM, ratio analysis, they can be combined in one issue or as techniques. And in a marketing firm, the financial manager pays more attention towards an increase of 3% in the marketing costs as compared to a 15% increase in the career expense. Identify the concept being used by the manager. So the concept which helped the manager to increase %3 in the marketing cost as compared to 15 increase in the Courier experiment. Which of the following the concept are being used by the manager? Is it management by exception, or critical point control, or corrective action, or none of the above? Let's see. Critical point control focuses on monitoring and controlling a specific critical point, or KBI. This is a technique. While management by exception focuses on identifying and addressing significant exception or deviation from established norms. Let's see, corrective action. Manager need to act right away to make up for any difference between actual performance and goals. So the most closer answer, or let's see, the correct answer is the critical point control, the concept being used by the manager when he pays more attention towards an increase of 3% in the marketing cost as compared to 15 increase in the courier expense. Reducing the workers' absenteeism by 20% is an example of quantitative standard, qualitative standard, deviation, none of the above. Quantitative standards define both the nature and desired levels of performance. Indeed, are used for stimulating good performance as well as for measuring it. Provide descriptions of what management expects. Qualitative standard describes the distinguishing characteristics that satisfy the expected interaction. Deviation refers to difference between actual performance and planned performance. So, to reduce or to increase whatever indicator, usually we use a quantitative standard. Quantitative method deal with the numbers, percentage, while qualitative standards deal with the words, description. This is different. The difference between qualitative and quantitative methods. Deviation to measure a deviation from actual and planned performance. Deviation, the difference between actual performance and planned performance, is statistically usually used. Controlling is known as a backward-looking function because it relates to a future course of action. B. It is like a post-mortem of the past activities. To find deviation, it aims at improving future performance. Last none of the above. Evaluating past performance. The controlling function involves looking back at past performance to assess whether the organization has met its goals and objectives, taking corrective actions for future performance. This includes analyzing past performance data. Therefore, the controlling function of an organization is both backward-looking, as it involves evaluating past performance, and forward-looking, as it involves corrective action to improve future performance. So, concerned with the question, regardless, controlling can take past and forward. So, controlling is known as a backward looking because it is like a post-mortem of the past activities. So B is the correct answer. Features of controlling. Control is forward-looking because one can control future happenings and not the past. Pay attention. However, on control process, always the past performance is measured because no one can measure the outcome of a happening which has not occurred. In the light of these measurements, managers suggest corrective action for future period. Number 2. Control is both an executive process and, from the point of view of the organization's of the system as a result. As an executive process, each manager has to perform control function in the organization. It is true that according to the level of a manager in the organization, the nature, scope, and limit of his control function may be different as compared to manager at other level. The word control is also preceded by any an adjective to designate a control problem such as quality control, inventory control, production control, or even administrative control. In fact, it is administrative control which constitutes the most comprehensive control concept. All other types of control may be subsumed under it. Number 3. Control is a continuous process. The managerial control enables the manager to exercise control at the point of action. It follows a definite pattern and timetable, months after months and year after year, on a continuous basis. 4. A control system is a coordinated, integrated system. This emphasizes that although data collected for one purpose may be different from those with another purpose, this data should be reconciled with one another. In essence, control system is a single system, but it is more accurate to think of it as a set of interlocking subsystems. Thus, by the way, check the relation between controlling and other managerial functions. Control is closely related with other functions of management because control may be affected by other functions and may affect other functions too. Often it is said planning is the basis, action is the essence, delegation is the key, and information is the guide for control. This reflects how control is closely related with other functions of management. In fact, managing process is an integrated system, and all managerial functions are interrelated and interdependent. When control exists in the organization, people know what targets they are striving for, how they are doing in relation to the targets, and what changes are needed to keep their performance at a satisfactory level. The relationship of control with the major managerial functions can be described as follows. First, to the relation with planning. Planning is the basis for control in the sense that it provides the entire spectrum on which control function is based. In fact, these two terms are often used interchangeably in the designation of the department, which carries production planning, scheduling, and routing. It emphasizes that there is a plan which directs the behavior and activity in the organization. Control measures this behavior and activities and suggests measures to remove deviation, if any. Control further implies the existence of certain goals and standards. The planning process provides these goals. Control is the result of a particular plan, goals, or policies. Thus, planning offers and affects control. Thus, there is a reciprocal relationship between planning and controlling. Action number 2. Action as the essence. Control basically emphasizes what actions can be taken to correct the deviation that may be found between standards and actual results. The whole exercise of managerial process is taken to arrive at organizational objectives set by the planning process. For this purpose, actions and further actions are necessary. Each time there may be correction and change in the action depending upon the information provided by control procedure. Though it is not necessary that each time a corrective action is taken by control ensures the desirability of a particular action. This is important for organizational effectiveness, that in a real sense, control means action to correct a condition found to be in error, or action to prevent such a condition from arising, and is never achieved without having action as an essential step. Delegation as the key. Delegation is the key for control to take place, because control action can be taken only by the managers who are responsible for performance but who have authority to get the things done. A manager in the organization gets authority through delegation and relegation. It does not make sense to make someone responsible for achieving results without delegation him adequate authority. In the absence of adequate authority, a manager is unlikely to take effective steps for correcting the various deviations located in the process of analysis. Taking of corrective action may be seen in the context of controllability of a factor affecting the deviation or non-achievement of organizational objective. Some of these factors are controllable and some are uncontrollable. A controllable factor is the one which can be controlled by an executive action, while the uncontrollable factors lie outside his jurisdiction. A manager's action is likely to be more effective if more factors are controllable by him. He can have better controllability if he has been authorized to take decisions on various matters concerning him and affecting his action. Time-based policy of delegation is the matching of responsibility and authorities. It suggests that a manager must have corresponding authority as compared to his responsibility. He has to control the operations which are exercised by taking action. An action may be taken with the limit of authority. So, the only person who can directly control activities is the one who is directly responsible for them. This is the basic principle for effective organization. Information as a guide. Control action is guided by adequate information from beginning to the end. Management information and management control systems are closely interrelated. The information system is designed on the basis of control system. Every manager in the organization must have adequate information about his performance, standards, and how he is contributing to the achievement of organizational objectives. There must be a system of information tailored to the specific management needs at every level, both in terms of adequacy and timeline based. Control system ensures that every manager gets adequate information. The criterion of adequacy of information for a manager is his responsibility and authority that is in the context of his responsibility and authority, what type of information a manager needs. Which of the following statements does not highlight the relationship between planning and controlling? Planning and controlling are separable domains of management. Planning without controlling is meaningless. Controlling without planning is blind. Planning is prescriptive. Controlling is evaluative. None of the above. Planning is a function that involves setting objectives and determining a course of action. Controlling is a managerial function that monitors organizational performance towards the attainment of organizational goals is a process of ensuring that events conform to plan. Planning and controlling go hand in hand, and it is not wrong to say that planning and controlling work together. A manager is required to plan so that he controls the actions of employees in order to achieve the desired outcome. Planning and controlling are separable domains of management. Does not highlight the relationship between planning and controlling. So the question is, which of the following highlight the relationship between planning and controlling? So to express the strong relation between controlling and planning, when we would like to describe the interrelationship between these two functions, or to emphasize the strong relation between them, so we can say planning without controlling is meaningless. Controlling without planning is blind. Planning is prescriptive, controlling is evaluative. So we can say these two, B and C, can highlight the relationship between planning and controlling. The need for the controlling function is felt in business organizations, political organizations, social organizations, all of the above mentioned. Of course, business, political, social, whatever a form of organization, all types of organization need for the controlling function. Okay, this slide presents the significance of controlling. Organizations try to achieve their objectives through various activities or actions. From this point of view, all the objectives lead to the achievement of organizational objectives. However, the organization must also monitor whether they are achieving their objectives or not. Thus, control is an integrated action of an organization or managers. We suggest 6 points refer to the importance of controlling. Adjustment in operations, policy verification, managerial responsibility, psychological pressure, coordination in action, and organizational efficiency. Let's break down each of mentioned points. Number 1, adjustments in operations. A control system acts as an adjustment in the organizational operations. Every organization has certain objectives to achieve, which becomes the basis for the control. It is not only sufficient to have objectives, but also to ensure that these objectives are being achieved by various functions. Control provides this clue by finding out whether plans are being offset and suitable progress towards objectives is being made, and acting if necessary to correct any deviation. This may result into taking actions more suitable for the achievement of the organizational objectives. Number 2, policy verification. Various policies on the organization generate the need for control. For organizational functioning, managers set certain policies and other planning elements which later become the basis and reason of control. They become basis in the sense that organization performance is reviewed in this slide. They also become the reason for control, because through this an organization tries that its various individuals adhere to such framework. In this process, the organization and its management can verify the quality of various policies. Number 3, managerial responsibility. In every organization, managerial responsibility is created through assignment of activities to various individuals. This process starts at the top level and goes to the lower level. However, when a manager assigns some activities to his subordinates, he remains responsible for that portion of activities for their ultimate performance. It is quite natural that when a person is responsible for the performance of his subordinates, he must exercise some control of them. Thus, the control is required because of the very basic nature of the organization itself. In large organizations, many individuals contribute to the organizational objectives. For efficient performance, they arranged in hierarchy, forming superior subordinate relationship throughout the organization. Since each superior is responsible for the activities of his subordinates also, the control follows throughout the organization, beginning at the top level, the only difference being nature and scope of control. Psychological pressure. Control process puts a psychological pressure on the individuals for better performance. The performance of the individuals is evaluated in the light of a target set for them. A person is likely to put better performance if he is aware that his performance will be evaluated. He may feel pressure to achieve the results according to the standards fixed for him. This is further complemented by the reward and punishment based on the performance. Since the performance measurement is one of the basic elements of the control process, it ensures that every person in the organization contributes to his maximum ability. Coordination in action. Number 5. So, coordination is the essence of management and is achieved through the proper performance of all managerial functions. Control affects this aspect significantly. Control systems are designed in such a way that they focus not only on the operating responsibility of a manager but also in his ultimate responsibility. This forces a manager to coordinate the activities of his subordinates in such a way that each of them contribute positively towards objectives of superior. Since this follows throughout the organization, coordination is achieved in the organization as a whole. Last, organizational efficiency and effectiveness. Proper control ensures organizational efficiency and effectiveness. Various factors of control, namely making managers responsible, motivating them for higher performance, and achieving coordination in their performance, control ensures that the organization works efficiently. The organization also moves towards effectiveness because of control system. The organization is effective if it is able to achieve its objectives. Since control focuses on organizational effectiveness, looking into the various roles that control system plays in the organization, the management should devise a control system which effectively meets the demands of organizations. The managers can do this if he is aware of the essential features of effective control system. It is a process of ensuring that events conform to plans or adjust to plans. Planning, directing, controlling, organizing. Controlling is a managerial function that monitors organizational performance towards the attainment of organization or organizational goals is a process of ensuring that events conform to plans. Organizing the function that arranges and coordinates resources that necessary to achieve organizational goals. Directing involves leading, motivating, and communicating with employees. Planning is the function that involves setting objectives and determining a course of action. Okay. All organizations, business or non-business, face the necessity of coping with problems of control. Like other managerial functions, the need for control arises to maximize the use of scarce resources and to achieve purposeful behavior of organization members. In planning stage, managers decide how the resources would be utilized to achieve organizational objectives. At the controlling stage, managers try to visualize whether resources are utilized in the same way as planned. Thus, control completes the whole sequence of management process. Controlling, according to Terry, is determining what is being accomplished. That is evaluating the performance and, if necessary, applying corrected measures so that the performance takes place according to plan. Control is any process that guides activity towards some predetermined goals. Thus, control can be applied in any field such as price control, distribution control, pollution control, etc. So, control as control as an element of management process can be defined as the process of analyzing whether actions are being taken as planned and taking corrective actions to make these to conform to planning. So, control process tries to find out the deviations between planned performance and actual performance, and to suggest corrective actions wherever these are needed. So, based on above mentioned definition, we will try to list in the following slide the main features of controlling as a basic function of management. Last 16. In artificial plant manufacturing unit, the standard output set for our workers is 50 units per day. Ahmad produces 48 units in one day. In the given case, the value of deviation is -2 to 98. None of the above. So the actual is 48, the plan is 50. 48 negative 50 is -2.